All right, Baylor, K-State. What was the final in this one, Zach?
2-19.
Yeah. No, 25.
Sorry, 25. They didn't score that last touchdown until the last 20 seconds. I had all these stats ready about this is the worst loss and the most points allowed and all this, and then kind of went out the window as soon as Monterey Baldwin scored with 20 seconds left. So yeah, 52-25.
Yeah, they overturned it. That ended up being Monterey's only catch of the game. Um yeah,
And
another go
and
ahead.
Blake Shapen's career high fourth touchdown pass of the night. So yeah.
I guess there are bright spots, but so you're there in Manhattan, I'm back here in Waco. What was just kind of the vibe, obviously I'm sure more of the same, really.
Yeah, I mean I think this is the worst feeling of all the games, right? I think this is kind of rock bottom for
Mhm.
right? That Dave Aranda said that, Drake Dabney said that, like this it can't get much worse than this. And yeah, it's just the 34 points, the second most lopsided loss since Dave Aranda's been there. 59 points is the most that Baylor's allowed since 2018 against Oklahoma.
Mm.
And, yeah, like we talked about, there were bright spots. Blake Shapen throwing 4 touchdowns. I mean, I think looking at the running backs as a whole, I think they ran the ball more consistently throughout the game. But I mean, the final score is what it is. And so, no bowl game, 2 more games that who knows? It just the vibes are at an all-time low, at least this season.
Yeah, to me it looked very much like a checked out team versus a locked in team. And obviously Kansas State has stuff to play for, but at the same time Baylor had stuff to play for. I mean, but Kansas State's just better. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I mean, you mentioned Shapen having 4 touchdown passes, but altogether, I didn't feel like he had a very good day. I didn't think the offense had a very good day. I mean, they had a couple trick plays, got some stuff to the tight ends, but I thought the receivers certainly didn't have a good day. They dropped a lot of stuff.
And when you go down 35-7 early in the second quarter or whatever, when you're down 4 touchdowns, you're kind of forced to. Blake Shapen's going to throw it a lot because you kind of need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was just, 4 turnovers. It's hard to overcome 4 turnovers. And it seems like Kansas State got a touchdown. They hit for the cycle today. They had an interception return. They had a fumble return. They had, it was just complete and total domination.
Yeah, it really was. And I was thinking to myself when it was 28 or 35-7, or I was like, what's it going to take for Baylor to start throwing downfield? And they did eventually take some shots, but my gosh, are they in love with that screen game? I mean, and we've seen that over and over and over all year. Um, I mean, clearly, I'm just going to say it. It's not like we haven't said it before. Clearly, this is going to be the last 2 games of Jeff Grimes' time at Baylor.
I
I
think
mean, there's
so.
just no way you can bring him back. I'm sorry. Um, and we'll see what it is for Dave Aranda.
I am normally hammer it home that I'm the optimist of the two of us. And
Right.
I am starting, and I still think that Dave Aranda, his seat is on fire, but I don't think it's not burned down yet, if that makes any sense. I think he sticks around this season, but another game like this against TCU or West Virginia, and I think that's very that changes, right? I saw Mac Rhodes around here. He was floating around the press box uh, all game, and he was sitting right behind me in the press conference, and it felt like he was just kind of like watching over everybody's shoulder, just seeing what was happening. And it was a feeling that I had never. He doesn't really do that in Waco, and I didn't notice that in Orlando or anything. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to read into things based on the negative vibes around here, but it was just a different feeling than any other game I've been to.
Yeah, obviously Mac has some tough decisions ahead. I do feel like a lot of the Baylor fans have checked out on this team as well. It they've really soured on the way it's gone, and they've certainly regressed as the season has progressed. We'll see what happens with TCU. It's a big rivalry game, and if Baylor fans want you to beat one, I mean, one it's going to be Texas, but also TCU for sure.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, but like even Aranda was talking about the freshmen and the youth, and I know I was asked about it on the pregame radio, and there's so much youth on this team, and even as the game was getting more and more out of hand, I felt like I saw more freshmen, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that I don't normally see. I'll have to go back and look at the full game stats from this one, but I feel like that's kind of a built-in excuse. You are definitely building for something. Who's going to be around to build it? But at least these freshmen are getting some experience, so maybe that's a positive or maybe a spin. I don't know, but it's definitely a factor.
It's definitely a factor. There are bright spots in this season, and some of them are those young freshmen like Caden Jenkins and Dawson Pendergrass. And I mean, some of these guys have shown stuff. At the same time, I think there are pervasive questions, some of which we've asked over and over, like, where's Richard Reese? Why is he not more of a part of things? And they've answered that question to a certain extent, which is like, we need guys who essentially are going to fight through tackles because we know they're going to get hit right away. Because basically what they're saying there is our offensive line is not very good. And that is evident to anyone with eyes.
I think the Baylor's the most sacked team in the Big 12.
Wow. Yeah. 3 more, I think, today for Shapen got dumped 3 more times today. And absolutely that one fumble where he got hit, I mean, he was just eaten up right away by the Kansas State defense. So
yeah, that was Elvin off the left tackle. He eventually got ejected for kind of making a boneheaded getting in a fight there, but whatever.
Just they need to start a GoFundMe for O linemen in the transfer portal and get some guys in here that can block, because otherwise Blake Shapen's going to be running for his life again next year if he's even still around. So many questions to answer. As you mentioned, TCU next week, and then home to West Virginia, which I assume good seats should be available for that game.
Just a few.
So if you're a Mountaineer fan, come on down.
Oh my gosh. What a team.
Yeah, exactly. Be safe, travel safe. You're coming back tomorrow, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, well, it's certainly gonna go somewhere.
Exactly. All right, buddy. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.